Hello there. Rather than talk about my technology tonight, I thought I'd give a crash course on inventing and how to make money from it. Some do's and don'ts. It's not an extensive one, but it just gives you some ideas. Actually, some of it's been covered already, so I apologise for that. Having a brilliant idea is one thing, finding a gap in the market, but making money from it is another. The temptation is to share it with the world. Look how good I am, look what I've done. Don't. Keep it secret. Start the process of looking at how good it is, whether it's commercial, whether it's new. Is it the best solution? There's many solutions out there. Ideally, you want yours to be the best. That said, strange enough, crap does sell. So it's not always the case. A general rule of thumb is that it's got to be better or cheaper than the competitor, ideally both. Have a professional patent search done and make sure it's new before you start spending lots of money and time on it. The British Library is great for that, the Intellectual Property Office or a registered patent attorney. The prior art that throws up is a great source of information to see other solutions, see who owns what in that market. And whatever you do, carry on searching because, as you say, you need to know what's coming out and also what's been missed last time. I know a lot of people just stop. Well, that's a great mistake. Do your market research. Find out who the players are in the market, the size, prices, trends. I tend to go to the British Library a lot and look at Mintel reports. I go to trade press, the internet. There's an abundance of information and resources at the British Library for that. Ask the question, is the market I'm going in worthwhile for all the time and effort I'm going to put into it? And that's a big question. If it's not, then don't do it, because it can be tough. Another thing is it manufacturable? Can you make it? And can you make it for the right price? I see some fantastic things here which look fantastic on paper, maybe even great in prototype form, but you can never make it. It'd just be far too expensive, and keep that in mind. It has to be made at the right price. Even my own technology, I have something called squeeze open, which is packaging. It's very thin-walled, it's very lightweight. I have to do that to be competitive. Keep it mean and lean, I would say. Look at adding value as well. If you can find a competitive edge, I think, or a unique selling point, I suppose you would call it. I'm doing a rat trap at the moment, which is great fun, and as an inventor, you've got to do that. And my thing is that it resets itself. So my unique selling point is why kill one rat a night when you can kill 100? Also, mindset. You have to have a bit of a strange mind, perhaps, but you have a mindset. Ask yourself, do I really want to take this on, this life-changing journey? Is it right for me? It helps, I think, to be a bit optimistic, a little irrational, perhaps. Most people would run a mile if they knew what they were letting themselves in for. And you've got to have that attitude I call WIT, whatever it takes. And, to have a chance, I think, you've got to be 100% behind your idea and very passionate about it. That becomes infectious. And when it's infectious, then you bring people with you. It's got to be really, and it's very sad to say it, the most important thing in your life. No one's going to give you £1 million or a royalty check every 3 months for 20 years. It just doesn't happen. You have to go beyond that. You have to drive it forward. And actually, you have to become quite good at business. And a lot of people don't want to do that, but it's a necessity, I think. Work out an intellectual property strategy. We talked a lot about patents here, and I hate the patent system with a passion because it kept me poor for many years. Even so, if I've got to secure my technologies and sell licenses, I've got to have them. There may be an opportunity actually to avoid them if you can. If your technology is difficult to reverse manufacture, then keep it secret, bring it to market, or do what I think Alan Sugar does sometimes and takes it to market very quickly, makes his money, and then changes tack while the competition is trying to catch up. So it's not always the answer. So get advice. There's many options there. Whatever you do, please don't write your own patent. I see so much of that, and okay, it's just not a you may save money, but it's a false economy. You will really regret the day you ever did that if you're successful. And if you get to that nice position where there's a licensee interested in your technology, you look very amateurish when they look at your patent. You know, it's a strange fact. You have to make sure it's done by a professional. Avoid sharks. There's lots of sharks out there, not just the rogue invention promotion companies. There's also so-called professional bodies who will overcharge, be it patent agents, accountants, and lawyers. So you need to be careful of them. Due diligence, find people who have used them before, recommendations, and find out what their costs are. Listen to your gut feeling as well about people in business. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, yeah? How do you make money from it? Now, you've got to decide, I think, pretty early if you're going to manufacture and market and sell it yourself, or whether you're going to license or even sell the technology outright and let someone else take the risk. Maybe both is an option. It's a big decision, but that will define your journey. I find also, I think what I would suggest is that if you're not particularly good at business or you don't want to be good at business, you take on a business mentor and offer him or her maybe a couple of % equity of the idea. You need to have a good sounding board to move forward, I think. I usually write a business plan when I have an idea. It helps me to focus. If you get someone else to do it, make sure you look at it and understand it and agree with it. You need it if you're looking for investment or the elusive government grant. And it helps sort of direct you in the right direction anyway. And even not, why? You can look and see why things are going different. I generally put in there something called a SWOT analysis, which is looking at your strengths, your weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Also choose the right business model. And if you get into a partnership, do draw up a partnership agreement, even if it's your best friend or even the wife, perhaps. Funding options. It's not an easy climate, and banks are still not lending our money, especially for startups, and they do not expect any help from government grants, and you won't be disappointed. Investors are also, I think, more risk-avert these days, and you need to be or make yourself investable, and well-thought-out presentation, a sensible business valuation, and a good story, I think, helps. A trick I use, or used to use, is a bit of psychology. I used to network an awful lot, and I would tell people about my project, the invention and the opportunity. Then I'd ask them if they know of anyone who's interested, and sort of hope for that comment, well, what about me? And that does work on occasion, so use it. Get good at business, understanding contracts, and letter writing as well. I seem to ponder over contracts half my working life and write letters. And also get good at negotiation. Make sure you get that sort of, learn how to get that deal. Anything, expensive or cheap, to make it happen. I license my technology and let someone else take the risk. And that sort of route to market already and perhaps bigger budgets than I can afford. If you're planning to manufacture and market and sell your invention, I would need another 10 minutes. Be realistic about the timescales involved. Having your idea and making money from it can be and does take many years. I think, was it Dyson was 15? Finally, the inventing journey is very complex and risky, but it can be very rewarding. Even if you fail, it's the experience, and maybe next time you have a better idea, maybe you'll make money. You've got to keep at it, I think, to have a chance. And have fun with it. You certainly know you're alive. You have every emotion. And also, I'd like to just take this opportunity to thank the British Library for all the hard work they do here at the Business and IP Centre. I think it's a great resource. And that's it.